I know in the last video I said that was going to be my last video on the channel, but I had just been a few days off of benzodiazepines then, so I think I was in a bit of a manic state. I still stand by everything that I said in that video because it was truly from the heart, and I do have this grandiose plan that I'm going to be working towards. But that being said, I am now like 27 days off of the benzodiazepines, specifically Valium, and I've done a lot of reflecting now, and I'm in a much calmer state. Last month has been a little bit difficult, but I mean, the sun always rises even through the darkest of nights. And that's not going to be the topic of today's video. Today, I wanted to talk about this. However, I've done so much reflecting this month, and not even this month, the last few months actually, even when I was using benzos and weed, but specifically this month now that I'm fully sober, no weed, no alcohol, no benzodiazepines, and I'm really grateful for this clarity that I'm having. However, I've been reflecting a lot this past month, and not even this past month, these past few months, even though I was using benzodiazepines and weed pretty heavily, I've really just been reflecting about my life. And I think it's just important for me to make videos just talking and sharing where I'm at, tracking my journey over time, because this process is not just about sobriety, it's not just about perfection, it's truly just about growth and being real. And I think a few videos ago I also said humility is everything. So like making these videos, making kind of a fool and a mockery of myself, putting this out there online, it really does humble me, and it really makes me grateful. I find it to be a really good exercise in humility. Now, some people may say that, why are you putting this out there, like making a fool of yourself, or talking about your negative situations or your shortcomings, etc. Like maybe it's not the best. Some people might say it's not the best look, but at the end of the day, I really don't care what people think about me because I know myself. And I was in Bangkok on March 28th when Myanmar experienced a 7.7 magnitude earthquake. I was on the 24th floor in my apartment building, in my condo there. And for those of you guys that don't know, the earthquake in Myanmar sent tremors to Bangkok on March 28th. And there's a whole host of videos you can find online with like apartment buildings and condos swaying, like high-rise buildings swaying from side to side. Water was being splashed over pools, etc. And I was in one of those condos. And long story short, it was the scariest moment of my life, because I literally thought I was going to die that day, and I thought this was going to be it. I thought I was going to die that day, and I honestly felt so powerless. I mean, nothing happened to me. I made it out alive, unscathed, so I'm super grateful. But in that moment, when I phoned my mom, like, what should I do? And to confirm that I wasn't going crazy, because I was kind of high that day. I had taken a little bit of benzodiazepines, I'd smoked a little bit of weed, I had taken even a little bit of kratom. So when I first started feeling dizzy, like I got this dizziness feeling, right? And when I first experienced it, I thought I was just like hallucinating. I was like, man, what the hell? But then I started hearing like rumblings and cracking in the building, because some of the infrastructure was getting damaged. And then I was like, oh my goodness, this is an earthquake. And then I went to the hallway and I looked first, there was nobody there. But then like a few minutes, like 1 or 2 minutes later, a few seconds later, I went to the hallway and there was other people in my condo who lived on the same floor as me in my condo building, like stumbling out as well. I do have videos about this that maybe I'll make a video about later on. I didn't really think it was that important to make a video on this topic at the time, because I survived fully unscathed, and nothing bad happened to me or the people around, or the people who were living in my condo building or the surrounding condo buildings. Like, we all evacuated and made it safely out. But what I learned that day and what I felt that day was pretty surreal, because my condo building was swaying from side to side. I literally thought the whole building was about to collapse. And in that moment, I was like, is this it? Is this it? Is this how I go out? Thankfully, by the grace of God, by the grace of the universe, nothing bad happened, and I'm still here. Hence, I'm making this video. But that really put things into perspective for me, because after I experienced that, I really thought about what legacy, what am I leaving behind in this life? What is my legacy? And what really matters? Like, what truly matters to me? Making videos talk about my life and my shortcomings, even if they're embarrassing me, even if they might not be in my own best interest, doesn't really matter, because had I died that day, nobody would really care. Like, I mean, it sounds kind of dark, but nobody would like care about my life, and nobody, like, who would have known other than my close friends and family? Would you guys care, the people that are watching this, had I died? Like, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this, but the point I'm trying to make is, through that near-death experience, through feeling powerless of experiencing that earthquake, I just really, really realized how fragile life is. And why the fuck am I gonna give why the fuck am I gonna give any shits about what some random people think about me on the internet? I'm speaking from a place of authenticity, and I'm just being true to myself. So that brings me to today's video. I think I have ADHD and I think I have autism. And the reason I want to make this video is because I'm truly in one of the best places in my life, mentally and physically and spiritually. I'm back home in Finland, in Helsinki, the city where I was born. I have not spent more than 1 week here after turning 18 years old. And now I've been here for, I think, a little bit over a month, or almost a month. What's the date today? Yeah, I've been here for over a month. I came on April 3rd. From Bangkok back to Helsinki, and I haven't felt this sense of peace and this sense of calm for so long. I did have to detox through cannabis. I did have to detox through benzodiazepines. I did fail a drug test for something that I was applying to, because it has to do with the government, but I think right now is not the time. I can apply for that thing. I'm not going to get into specifics. I can apply for that thing later on. I can apply for that thing again next year if I wanted to, which I might, but I'm not exactly sure where my path is going to lead in this next year, if I'm being completely honest. I have a general idea and I know what I want to do, but this, the thing that I want to do with the government was, it would only be temporary. It wouldn't be a permanent thing. It would just be for me to gain more experience, and I think it would have just been good for my personal growth and development, but I'm not going to get into the specifics of that. Maybe I'll make another video talking about that situation. All right, so enough of this tangent slash backstory. The reason I'm making this video is because I honestly think I have ADHD and I might be slightly autistic. Which I'm not making any jokes about. I really think I actually do have mild autism and ADHD. So on May 23rd, I'm going to be undergoing a medical evaluation for ADHD and autism. What brought me to this conclusion was that I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and I'm pretty sure that I have ADHD and autism. I'm 99% sure that I have ADHD, and I'm pretty sure I'm slightly autistic. And this is something that you guys don't know, but my half-brother, I have two half-brothers from my dad's side. The older one has pretty severe autism and goes to a school for autistic children. I don't know how he's like doing now, because I haven't spoken to my dad for 15 going on 16 years now, but that's been my personal choice. I'm not going to delve into that, but maybe in a separate video. But just to give you guys a little bit of backstory, so I think it might be genetic. I think there's some genetic heredity on my dad's side from that, so maybe I'm a little bit like, I'm definitely not 100% neurotypical. I know that, but I don't want to make any self-diagnosis before I get the proper medical evaluation. And the reason that I'm seeking out this diagnosis is because I truly believe that a lot of my substance abuse, if not all of my substance abuse throughout the years, has been a form of self-medication. And I have been tested for ADHD in the past, like twice when I was younger. And I think I've been tested for other neurological things, but nothing came up. I was never diagnosed. I think I was like 8 and then I was like 12 when I was tested. And yeah, I never got any diagnosis. But now, throughout my reflections, through really analyzing the past, I definitely have something. And I've always had like trouble focusing for long periods of time, especially with subjects that I'm not interested in. And even fast forward to now, even certain subjects that I am interested in and certain things that I want to learn, it's really hard for me to sustain long periods of focus without the use of any substances. Like, I've done a lot of self-study in the past few years, and I generally have to use like cannabis, or I generally use like yeah, I've generally used cannabis or I've generally used something else to just help me like focus. As fucked up as that sounds, which is kind of like using weed to focus and learn new subjects is counterintuitive a little bit, and it's a little bit it's counterproductive. But for me to sustain like long periods of focus, I've had to use something, and cannabis and studying is just a hindrance, to be honest. Those two things don't really go hand in hand. Cannabis, benzos, even microdosing things that I probably shouldn't have. I wasn't always using them to party or escape in the traditional sense. Like sometimes I was using these substances, especially in the past few months in Bangkok, just so that I could function, just so that I could go about my day and stay focused, complete all my tasks, get throughout the day, be organized. And it's gonna sound a little bit crazy, but I have trouble with organization and keeping like cleanliness inside like my apartment, especially if I'm living by myself. But the times when I would smoke weed and get high or like use a little bit of Xanax and smoke weed, I would get super like I would get super I would get like hyper focused on making everything in my apartment spotless. So it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, but the times where I was high, like my apartment was the most organized it ever was, and it was just like it was spotless. I would become hyper fixated on making sure everything's like tidy and well kept and organized. But that really affected my short-term memory, and it really just made me like dysfunctional in the long run, especially as my tolerance built up and then I was using more and more Xanax and then I was smoking more and more weed, even though like everything around me was super tidy, and organized, it really just started having a negative impact on my life and like I wasn't functioning as well as I could have. It got me through that period of my life and now coming to the realization like, oh my goodness, I've been self-medicating this entire time. So lately I realized that my substance abuse over like the past few months, maybe the past 6 months, has been really just to maintain my focus and to stay calm and just to be functioning, to be honest. And I always thought to myself like, oh, I don't have a substance abuse problem, or it's not that bad because I'm still functional. But it was. And I didn't realize at that time, but now I do now that I'm sober, that I was using those substances. I was self-medicating so that I could function because I thought that without them, while being sober, like my cleanliness, my tidiness, my organization is kind of screwed. And when I started researching ADHD, so many of the symptoms hit home. The racing thoughts, the executive dysfunction, the overstimulation, the emotional roller coaster, the hyperfocus that leads to burnout, which I've definitely experienced multiple times in my life. Like there's certain things that I get hyperfixated on and I just go until like I kind of burn out. And I'm honestly 99.9% sure that I have ADHD. I don't want to self-diagnose. Like I said, I'm going to get a medical evaluation on May 23rd, but I've talked to some other family members as well, and I think that they're of the same opinion. I just didn't have the language or the awareness to like properly address it before. And from the autism side, things are a little bit less clear, but I have, growing up, I've always had like a very high sensitivity, like flashing lights. I've hated like flashing lights coming to my eyes. I'm very sensitive to certain sounds. I can't wear like any wool clothing, but I'm not sure if that's symptoms of ADHD or if I am slightly on the spectrum. But like I said, my half brother is autistic, so it could be a genetic thing from my dad's side because I think there's a high genetic heritability, am I saying that correctly, for autism if one of your parents have it. But I'm pretty functional. And like I said, I have been tested multiple times when I was a kid for a neurodivergent to see if I was neurodivergent, but nothing ever came up. So social situations, I'm pretty good at like reading the room. I'm pretty good at masking and also like kind of just pretending that I'm interested in things like that. Because if I'm being completely honest, in most social situations, especially with small talk, I hate small talk, and to be honest, I really can't stand it. That's why now growing up, especially as an adult, when I get into conversations with people about subjects that I'm not interested in, or if I'm around people that don't share the same interests or passions with me, I could really give less fucks, if I'm being completely honest. And I really don't like engaging in small talk in any way if I'm not interested in If I'm not interested in that person, or if we don't have any like shared hobbies or interests, I could really care less about getting to know someone. The only time that's and the only exception to that is when I've been like high. If I've been drunk, or if I've been on Xanax, or I have taken Concerta in the past when I was like during my teenage years, unprescribed to me. And the times I've been on like Concerta, times I've been on Concerta, which is ADHD medication, but at the time I was like, oh man, I have a history of misusing a lot of pharmaceutical medications, man. And if I've been on like Concerta or Xanax, that's when I'm like, when I'm high off like Xanax, that's when I'm like super intrigued by people, and that's why I can really like function in terms of conversations and ask people intriguing questions and be like really engaged in the conversation. But when I'm sober, I'd rather really just be by myself if you're not a like-minded individual, or and if we don't share any interests, which has definitely impacted me a whole lot in making friends in my adulthood. I spend a lot of time alone these days, which honestly in this chapter of my life I really enjoy, because it's just giving me more time to focus on myself and to pursue my goals and my ambitions in life, which I find it a positive, to be honest, that I'm not like seeking friendships and seeking shallow friendships, you know, because I feel like I just don't have the time or the energy for that. And I'm also getting older, so I just want to focus on my own goals, my own ambitions, my own interests. And if I'm not surrounded by other people that are also like striving towards the same things that I am, I just kind of feel like it's a waste of time, to be honest, because we only have 24 hours in the day. And that sounds kind of selfish saying it out loud, but I mean, that's truly, honestly, the way I feel. I don't really want to make time for shallow friendships. I don't really care for shallow conversations and like surface level talk, like chit chat, you know. If we're not like-minded individuals, then I will be cordial, I will be nice, but I'm not going to go out of my way to I'm not going to go out of my way to invest time and energy into people that don't really fit into my life right now, at least. And this past month, I've been paying closer attention how I naturally move through the world. I've been doing so much analyzing on my past and my behaviors and really everything. I've analyzed everything in my life, and I've started noticing subtle traits in myself: sensitivity to lights and certain sounds, awkwardness in certain social situations. Sometimes I don't pick up on certain like social cues, like humor would probably be one of them. There's been multiple times in my life that I can think of now where people are like making a joke to me, and then I answer them like fully serious, not knowing there's like the how, not knowing the like nuance and the not picking up on like the nuance of the conversation, and that they were joking or they're kidding around, like. And I'm very, very particular on my routines these days, especially when I'm sober. Like things have to be a certain way, and it has to always be like at that time I do this, you know. I'm very, for lack of a better expression, I'm very anal about my routines, and I become really upset if something disrupts that. And I get really angry, especially like appointments and things like that. I'm generally always on time, and I hate having to wait. I'm very impatient. There's so many flaws that I have in me as a person. So if I am on the spectrum, I would think that it would be relatively mild. I say that with humility and care, because I'm not here to label myself or generalize anyone's experience. Autism exists on a spectrum, and everyone's story is different. And I'm just starting to observe my story with curiosity and compassion. And what I know for sure is this: I'm tired of trying to figure out everything by myself. For most of my life, I believed if I just tried harder, focused more, disciplined myself more, that I could fix everything alone. Throughout like the last decade of my life, I've truly just tried to handle everything by myself. I've had good friends tell me that it's okay to seek help. It's okay to go talk to a medical professional. But at the time, I really just thought that like it was a weakness. You know, I thought that seeking help was for weak people, and that I could accomplish and I could do everything by myself. And that has just had a net negative impact on my life, because I could have been so much further along in my progression and my growth as a human being, and specifically as an adult, if I just listened to their advice at the time. And I was like, I scoffed their advice off. I was like, oh, I'm not going to seek help through a therapist. I'm not going to go get tested for X, Y, and Z, because I generally thought that, oh, I was tested when I was a kid. multiple times, but nothing came up. So there's nothing wrong with me. But if I look through the history, especially of the history even of this channel, but if I look through the history of the last like decade, last 15 years even, man, I'm just like, whoa, how did I not have the self-awareness to seek professional help back then? It's a little bit baffling to me. But you know how the saying goes, it's better late than never. So man, I'm just glad that I'm coming to this realization now. And I'm actually feeling pretty hopeful for this medical evaluation, because then I can actually get to the bottom of what's wrong with me, and then I can take the actionable steps and get the support that I need to learn how to deal with my emotions, learn better coping mechanisms that are not through the use of substances, at least substance abuse. I will probably be put on ADHD medication, but I have the self-awareness now not to abuse it. And of course, through the medical evaluation, we'll be talking about my entire history with the doctors. Like I've already filled so many pages, like 26 pages. talking about my life. I'm not even kidding. 26 pages of questions talking about my life, talking about like everything from the moment I was like pretty much born up until my adulthood, which I'm 28 right now. Like my entire life history I've already written down, and then I'm gonna have to go through hours and hours of evaluations. So it's actually going to be a serious process, and it's going to be something that I'm actually looking forward to, which, you know, if you had asked me a few years ago, I would have probably scoffed off, to be honest. I would never imagine myself in a position where I'm actually going to go see a psychiatrist and get the help that I actually need. So on May 23rd, I'm going to take that first step to getting a real diagnosis, and whenever I learn about myself, I will share here. And I know this video was pretty disorganized and it was a little bit all over the place. I haven't made content or long form videos in such a long time. So I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest. I'm a little bit like anxious recording myself on camera. So, you know, I'm always always a little bit all over the place. But I think in future videos, I'll probably start scripting my videos and getting my thoughts more organized. But for the most part, I just like being raw and authentic on this channel. And just like talking my thoughts out loud to the camera without much structure, just to, you know, keep a video diary of sorts. And what also inspired me to make this video was I have this app over here, I Am Sober, where I track like all my sobriety. And there was another person that said that they're also getting diagnosed, like another person who's like 1 month cannabis free, that's also getting diagnosed for ADHD and autism. And I was just like, what is the coincidence? Me too. Me too. Anyways, so if you're someone who struggles with addiction, if you're someone who struggles with substance abuse, I would highly recommend you seek out medical and professional help, because it's something that was suggested to me, I would say, 10 years ago, like a decade ago. Someone was like, you should seek out medical help. There's no shame in getting the help and the support you need. And I scoffed it off. But had I listened to them back then, maybe my life would have turned out completely different. But I mean, my life is relatively good, so I'm not complaining. I'm very blessed. I'm very privileged, and I would say that everything happens for. I would say that everything happens for a reason, and it's really up to us what to make of it. And that being said, I truly believe I'm exactly where I need to be in this moment in my life. So I have no regrets, other than I could have sought help sooner. But like I said, everything happens for a reason. I'm exactly where I need to be in life, and it's truly up to us what to make of it. Like everything happens for a reason, it's up to us what to make of it. So it's always better late than never, as the saying goes. And if you're someone who struggles with substance abuse or addiction, seek out medical professional help, because you never know if there's any underlying issues. And if you never get to the root of the issue, you're always going to end up stuck in the same old habits, stuck in the same old routine, pretty much. And that's why I've also relapsed throughout the majority of my life, because one, I didn't really have any true purpose, but two, I'm pretty sure that I'm not neurotypical. Like I'm 99.9% sure that I'm not neurotypical, but I'm gonna get to the bottom of that on May 23rd. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. I'll make some more sobriety videos here and there whenever the time calls for it, and in the future videos I'll work towards getting I'll work towards probably like scripting the videos and having them more structured. But yeah. On that note, I'm gonna say peace out. I'm running a half marathon on May 17th as well, so I'm training for that currently, man. Maybe I'll make a little bit of a vlog there. Maybe I'll make it on my vlog channel, or maybe I'll make it on this channel. I don't know yet. We'll see when the time comes. And as always, every decision you make and every action you take is a vote for your future self. So ask yourself, who do you want to be? And on that note, peace out, gang.